is what I want. This is what I need.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hot Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Matilda Johnson, and today we're here on another date with my girlfriend, Emily.
Hello.
So, we're also eating cheese and crackers and stuff, so this is going to be a bit ASMR-y for some, but I just like to wine and dine people.
I appreciate it.
But without the wine, we've got iced tea.
That's okay. I'm happy with iced tea.
So Emily and I have known each other for a very, well, would we say very long time? How many years has it been?
About 6 years ago now.
I was the year above you.
You were a year above me, and I definitely felt a very strong connection and bond from you from like the minute that I met you.
Aww.
But I still feel like it was quite, because I met you once I was like technically an adult, I sort of still feel like you're a new friendship. Yet
Yeah.
the strength and the depth of our friendship feels like I've known you forever.
Because I feel like we've been through a lot together, and that's probably why. So we went to full-time dance together, and we used to do YouTube videos together. And
You were going to be a YouTube star when we were in full time.
I don't know what came over me to think I am the next big thing, but here I am now with a podcast instead. It's called Evolution.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
called growth.
I love there's this one where you and I were doing a Q&A about full-time dance.
Yes.
And you, little us, you were like, oh yeah, you don't really go there to make friends. And I'm just grimacing, I'm looking at you like, bitch, what the fuck am I?
Yeah, but you were the truest of true friends.
Aw.
Absolutely. I definitely had, I think there was another person talking behind that.
Oh yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's-
I mean, we were also very competitive at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of had to be.
I think you and I, we were also kind of pitted against each other at times as well.
Which I hated more than anything.
And I also kind of find it funny because we were very, very close friends in the studio. And yet
Yes.
it was like suddenly like people were trying to make us rivals.
Yes, and we were refusing, so it was like we were trying to like push against these barriers that were like trying to, yeah.
Especially when
Absolutely.
I was in third year, there were like a few times where it was kind of like, it's going to be Emily or Tilly.
We had the conversations being like, oh, if you got something over me, I'd be so supportive. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to try and beat you, but I'm going to, if you
I
get
love
it, I'm going to
you.
be so happy for you.
It's like, I love you, but I want this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we had that chat so many times, I remember. And so when it did start happening, and we were kind of like, Jesus, why are they doing
Yeah.
this? We always, I think because we were so brutally honest with each other and open with each other, that kind of was acted as a shield. in
Yeah,
terms
it's
of-
kind of shocking how close we were able to maintain our friendship during that.
when you look at the way that patriarchal society pits, the way that they pit women against each other, and that women aren't allowed to sort of align with each other, and they have to always be against each other, and there's like,
Competing.
yeah, and that I felt like that was just so ripe and so apparent. It was so hard for other people to share other people's success. It was so much jealousy, so much bitterness. There was this rivalry that I felt like didn't need to be there.
Absolutely not. And I don't think I was ever jealous of you, because I think we definitely have different strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And we were able to recognize that.
Absolutely. But I feel like at the same time, we were our own people, and it's that classic kind of thing. You can't all be the same, otherwise the world would be a pretty fucking boring place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think that with you and with our friendship, and also without us having, even though we had very similar goals, us as artists and performers, we were completely different.
And I find it so funny now looking back as well, because our lives have had very different trajectories when it comes to performing arts, that it's kind of like, what was the point of all of that to begin with? Because we've had different successes in different ways.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think I used to always look at you, and if I was watching you perform, you would inspire me. And there were parts about,
same.
yeah, and the way that you approach something, or the way that like you offered something in an acting scene, or just anything, the way you would hit a certain accent when you dance, it's like that when you watch people and you go, wow, that was amazing. I'm going to try and like not copy them, or I'm not going to try and steal their, their personality, but
use it
I'm
to
going to
make
take
it-
that,
yeah.
and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to actually use that to try and benefit me. I grew the quickest
Yeah.
through watching other people with positive connotations as opposed to negative.
I remember when I first heard you sing for the first time, because
It wouldn't have been great.
No. I was like
I was-
floored, because you got up and everyone was kind of like, oh yeah, like she's a singer, like I think she did like school productions and stuff, and then you sang, what's that song from Ghost?
I sang With You.
With You.
Yeah.
And I was like jaw to the floor, and I had a moment where I was like, holy fuck? Okay. And then
thanks.
being me, I also had a slightly competitive moment of, I need to look out for her.
I was so nervous.
And then I got over
day.
that really quickly.
It was like my dream for 2 years because I had, I had friends and
Who were
older
there.
sisters' friends who had gone to the school and I'd gone to see all their showcases. I'd watched you for like a year already. And so I knew all of you. It was kind of like that creepy fan.
Yeah, when you're just like, I know. Well,
And I had
that's
to
really
play it
funny.
cool and pretend like I didn't know any of you when I knew exactly who all of you were.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous that day when I sang for the first time because I was shaking and I remember just being so, because I admired everyone in the room so much and everyone was so talented.
It was so good.
Oh.
So good. And then another like older sister moment for me was coming back to see your final show after
Yes.
I'd graduated and seeing you do the dance to Dirty Diana.
That number was like it was a love-hate relationship with that number because I broke my wrist rehearsing that
yeah.
number. I had this, not trauma, but I did have a bit of trauma.
Well, yeah,
around
you'd
it.
be holding yourself back.
And
in a
because
way.
I was in denial in those days leading up to the lockdown, I was dancing on a broken wrist and I was rehearsing that number with a broken wrist and it was so painful.
Isn't that just such a typical like dance industry thing to do
Yeah.
though? I was the same. In my first year, I tore my syndesmosis ligament, which holds your tibia and fibula together.
Shit.
And it like my ankle was literally like black. I did end up in a moon boot, but for about like 5 days before even going to a doctor about anything, I was like, it's fine. It's fine. I can keep going.
It was this fear, this paralyzing fear of no, I'm not injured. I'm not
Yeah.
injured because you kind of was scared of what it meant
Yeah.
for not just like now, but you were like, oh my god, you would catastrophize. You're like, I'm never gonna dance again.
Yeah, literally.
I
I
have to keep
remember
going, I
like
have to feel like
and
it's
it
not
was in
there.
like the first term of me being there as well. And I sat down with the
Yeah, oh
director of the
gosh.
studio and she was like, okay, remove your shoes so I can have a look at it. And I did, and she was like, Tilly, what the fuck? Like, you should not be walking on this right now. Like, it was green and black. Like,
That's what I did. And everyone was saying to me, rest, stop,
Yeah.
sit. But I was so, no, I'm going to keep going.
it's like you've got your blinders on and you're
Yes.
just like tunnel vision. I need
Yes.
to get to the end and just like persevere and make it good and like be successful, that you don't actually stop and make a moment for yourself to be
Yes.
like, wait, no, you need to take care of yourself just for 1 second.
And it wasn't feasible, it wasn't necessary, and it was just not in any way helping me. And I found that that's the way I would respond to all injuries, not just that
Oh,
injury.
yeah.
After COVID, I feel like we've had a huge pivotal shift in the way that we see
Performing
the
arts and
performing
stuff,
arts in the industry. It's if there is a little bit more lenience. People are like, no, you need to look after yourself because your home,
Yeah.
your body is your vessel, your body is your tool. And I think a few years ago, it was very much you can sleep when you're dead. You can you'll be fine, push through. And I feel like it has changed a little bit, which I am quite grateful for because it means that we can now actually prioritize mental health and it's actually taken seriously. It's actually seen as something that's important.
I don't thank COVID for like anything, but I thank it for the fact that it's kind of
We
put that
count our
mentality in
blessings.
my, like actually learning to take care of myself and stuff like that. I was really keen to have you on an episode because I feel like when it comes to mental health and like also different, like, I mean, so many different aspects in life, like you and I can talk about pretty much anything, but
Yeah.
I feel like we have our best conversations about mental health and sexuality and like
sure.
embracing who you are and finding your confidence. And I think that's why I cherish our relationship so much, because I feel like we can just be open about these things together. I feel like people aren't very open about sexuality and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
As a woman, coming to terms with sexuality, was that an entirely different story for you?
I mean, definitely not within the industry. I've always felt so supported by other artists when they have found out that I am queer. I say that I identify as queer. I say queer because like I originally was saying bisexual, but to be honest, I people will be like, oh, so you don't like, you don't like these people, you don't like that people. I'm like, honestly, I don't really know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still figuring it out. So I like to say queer because I think it's a nice blanket term. But when people do find out that I'm queer in the dance industry, they're so beautiful, so supportive, and also so unresponsive, which I also like.
That's good.
But it was more the very, very much so internalized shame
Yeah.
of coming to terms with my sexuality. I was 18 when I sort of first made the connection that I might, like women as well as men. And there was a trend going around that was white girl starter packs.
Oh my
Or
god.
like, you know those starter
I know
packs?
exactly
And they would
what
have,
you
like,
mean.
the photos of like
Yeah.
all the things. And I remember this one that was trending, a white girl starter pack, was like drives a Hyundai i30, has these highlighters, uses this lip balm, and is bisexual. And I remember looking
You were
at
like,
that.
it's me.
But I was like, I've just sort of made the connection that there was a chance that I liked women. I was freaking out because I wasn't sure. I was so confused. Just had no idea. And then seeing that, because my biggest fear was if I were to tell someone and they wouldn't believe me.
Oh, yeah.
Or if I were to tell someone and then realize it was a
quote
unquote phase
or whatever,
and then
yeah.
have to tell people, JK, never mind. Like, that was my biggest fear. Other people's perception, lol.
Yeah.
And then that white girl starter pack photo came up on my feed, and
You're
I was
like, this
oh
meme.
my god.
You're like, this meme's telling me I'm bi. I must be bi.
Well, it was that, but it was also that I didn't want to be a white girl starter pack. I didn't
Right.
want to be seen or depicted as someone who was jumping on a bandwagon or saying they were bisexual just because it was cool, or you know, which is so stupid to me, because who the fuck would voluntarily want to be a part of a minority group that has been subject to literal oppression for years? Like, who wants that? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that was my biggest
Well,
fear.
I remember when you like quote unquote like came out
Yeah.
or whatever to me, and you the way you said it was so funny to me because you were like,
I can't even remember how I told
remember
you.
it so clearly because I was like, wait, hold on, because you were like, I've got a crush on somebody in the studio, and I was like, oh my god, and my mind immediately was like, Cameron, because I was like, he's the
Sorry,
only.
Cameron, I
I
don't
was
mean
like,
to laugh.
he's the only straight guy here. Like, what do you mean? I was like, when the fuck did that happen? And then you were like, no, and you said the girl's name, and I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
Which
sure.
you did, you know.
Yeah.
But, oh, that's so funny. I forgot that I told you that.
But I
day.
was also like, okay.
That's hilarious.
But like, yeah, immediately I was like, really, Cameron?
Yeah. Not that you're not. You're very handsome,
No,
Cameron.
we
I
love you,
If you're
Cameron.
listening, I love you. You're absolute stand-up legend. Stand-up
He's
man.
gonna be one of the dates.
Yeah,
So.
incredible guy. Just sorry, she liked a woman then. Yeah, at that time when I was in full time and I was suddenly, you know, thrust into just no longer being in high school. I was in a relationship as well when I was in high school for the whole of my year 12, and then I found out, I like sort of made a realization that I might be bi, and then I broke up with that person, and then I went into full time. So I was like in this huge like evolutionary like new year, new me. Ew, I hate that saying, but that I was very much that, and I was figuring out who I was. Full time really gave me
to express yourself.
that time to express myself and to figure out who I was unapologetically. The industry was actually a really safe space where I felt like I could really explore who I was, whether it be through my art or just through self-expression. But there was definitely still a bit of internalized shame of like, oh man, I've made this so much harder for myself. Why have I chosen this?
Yeah,
you know,
but it's like, it's not a choice, you know?
And it took a while for me to really come to terms with the fact that no, this was never a choice. This is a part of who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful now to say that I'm so proud of that part of myself.
Good. I feel like the dance industry is so interesting in how it has shaped people and how we can say that, because I feel like I definitely wouldn't be the person who I am today if I didn't go through like full-time dance and stuff like that as well. I think about the person who I was before that, and I'm just kind of like, oh, she's so different. Like, I definitely found my voice and my confidence through that.
I 100% attest to that. I remember when you graduated, and I remember just being so proud of you.
Oh.
Because I could see you were your own person. And
Yeah.
you left as you left so sure of yourself. And I was so excited for you because you were just, when I met you, you were still confident, but
I was a bit more quiet.
You were quiet. I think also you were trying to please other people by being quiet.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, you were so much more apologetically yourself, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yes, go Tilly. Like,
No,
it was just such a nice
I
thing
agree.
to
I was
see.
having this conversation with my bestie Gemma on our episode, which will come out the week before
Shameless
this
plug.
one. If you haven't listened to that, you should. But yeah, we were talking about how like we evolve and stuff, and how I definitely used to be much more quiet than I am now. But like, I was always myself, but I was just like hiding a bit.
Yeah.
And I think I can thank performing arts for helping me with that, which is really nice. But yeah, just finding your confidence in general is so interesting. That's why I'm like, if I were to ever have kids one day, that's not
Your face when you said that.
I was like, ugh, not anytime soon,
Ew,
please.
children.
But also, I'm just like
so funny.
I'd want them to do performing arts, but I'm also like, no pressure.
Are
But
you gonna be that dance mom?
no. If anything, I'd be like, okay, if you need to stop,
Yeah.
that's okay too.
It's okay.
It's
to take a
okay to
break.
stop.
It's okay to fail.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We don't use the word fail in this house. It's called you need a moment. It's
You need
alright.
some time.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, but not anytime soon. I feel like that's also another funny thing where we're at in life now, and like being comfortable with not wanting the same things as like people around us and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I am now 25. Shocking. When we met, I was what, 19?
Yeah, because I was 18.
20?
Oh my
No,
God.
yeah, I was 19.
Mm.
Yeah. And so I'm now at a point where I'm like, oh, the people around me are like settling down, getting married, having kids, and I'm like, well, I just got out of a long-term relationship and I'm now dating people on a podcast,
Nice.
you know? And I'm just like, oh well, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I have now. I could list a lot of people that I went to school with, or that I'm friends with, who have gotten married, who are who have had kids, who are engaged, who are buying a house, who are doing all these things. And there are times where I do sort of think like, should I be
Is this
doing
what I want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I have so much more to do before I do those things. Not to say that doing those things now is wrong.
No.
For those people who are doing those things right now, freaking look at you go. Amazing.
Yeah.
So happy for you. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But it is very interesting where I thought I would be when
Yeah.
I was a kid, when I thought, where I would be at this age. It is completely
So
different. So different. However,
I mean, I
it
also
is-
thought I'd be an Academy Award winner at 25, and that
it
hasn't
could still
happened yet.
happen. But I just think it's not at all what I pictured for myself. However, it is exactly what I need, and it's exactly what I want, and I could not be more happy or more content with where my
With
life
where
is
you
right
are.
now. And that's so funny how the world works out like that.
Even a year ago, if you told me I was working back in like the performing arts industry, I probably wouldn't believe you. And so it's kind of nice to feel like I've come full circle and I'm at a place where I'm really comfortable, and I'm still like, I'm working with the people who I wanted to work with when I was like 18. It might be in a different way, but I'm actually loving it just as much as I thought I would, you know, which is so nice.
It's just fantastic.
So
I love it.
when it comes to dating, do you have like, I mean, everyone has a type in some way. Does yours differ between men and women, or do you feel like they kind of morph?
It does. Men, I have a very specific type. It's quite funny.
Okay.
Whereas women, I could not try and describe my type. I definitely am attracted to more of a masculine energy.
Yeah.
And when I say masculine, I don't mean the stereotypes surrounding masculinity. I mean like strength.
Yeah.
That strong and silent strength that a person has within themselves that is a bit of a masculine quality. You know, that is sort of the common denominator that I've found, or like the one common trait amongst all the people I've ever sort of dated or been attracted to. They're the opposite to me. I'm such a loud person. I'm a big natural extrovert. The people that I would consider my quote unquote type are the opposite.
But then do you
They're
think like
not the
you
type.
bring out that side of them and they bring out like more of a calm side of you?
I do actually think I do believe in opposites attract. Whereas with men, it's quite
Straight and narrow. Well, not
quite straight.
Yeah,
Not
no,
exactly
yeah,
straight.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's definitely like a specific physical type. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Whereas with women, it's just all bets are off.
What was like your biggest turning point in your dating life?
I mean, when I was 18, I did get cheated on, and that was
Oof.
really shit.
Yeah.
I was.
And at such a young age too.
I was very young and I was in love, and it was also right at the end of year 12 and everything when it happened, and it was also my birthday around the time it happened, so it was like, it was just mainly the timing, if anything, made it even worse than what it probably would have been. Experiencing that was really interesting and a big pivotal moment in my life, because it wasn't necessarily the relationship itself.
It's probably just
it
like
was
the basis of knowing that that's
it was the depletion of self-worth that
the
act
disrespect.
left me in.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was the first time that I'd really opened up, trusted someone, shared more than I have with anyone at that point in my life. And
Yeah.
so for someone who I trusted, and for someone for that to happen, I felt just completely depleted of self-worth, and I had to build it back. And building it back, that experience was very, very, it really stuck with me, and it has definitely shaped the way that I see dating, the way that I see love, the way that I see relationships, in that I now know exactly what I'm worth.
Yeah.
I now value my self-worth, and I hold it very close to me, because it took me so long to get it back. But I am in a way glad that it happened, because it really did teach me a lot about myself. And the person who did cheat on me is a wonderful person.
Yeah.
They were a great person. They were just another kid who made a mistake. I'm definitely now a lot more unapologetic about my expectations and about sort of just who I am. Like, I sort of will be a bit more like, no, this is kind of my expectations.
This is your standard.
This is my standard. And
Yeah.
if you're not going to meet that, that's okay. I wish you a very pleasant life, but I'm going to move on.
What lesson took you the longest to unlearn? For me, I think it's one of those ones.
Yeah.
Like, just being like unapologetically myself and doing that is okay. And if they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. There's nothing you can do to change that.
Yep. Oh
Yeah.
my God. That was one big one, especially when I was growing up, like when I was in school. The mantra, you are enough.
What red flags do you look out for? And then also, what red flags do you think you have?
Oh, dirty fingernails.
Same.
I'm sorry, but
That's what I don't even
cannot.
think about, but that's like deep rooted inside me.
it is a big red flag.
I've got a story about this, and I think the more I think about it, and also like if he's like sitting down next to me and I like turn to look at him and he's got like heaps of earwax. That like, I'm like, bye.
Sweetie, buy some cotton buds. You can get
Literally.
environmentally friendly ones online.
Exactly,
and just get
exactly.
In there.
But no, dirty fingernails is so true, because
That's
I
a big
remember
one for me.
when I was probably like 12, 13, my sister was going out with this guy and they were a really long-term relationship. I never liked him. And one day we were like sitting having breakfast and Dad put out like a plate of bacon for everyone to help themselves to. It was the last piece of bacon. And he picks it up with his fingers and I can see the dirt under his nails.
No.
He puts it down in his plate, cuts it in half, picks it up again and puts the other half down on my plate. And I think about it.
Use a tongue.
I think about it all the time.
Oh God, that's great. I think not respecting boundaries.
Oh yeah.
Not respecting boundaries is really big for me. That comes with a big sense of entitlement and arrogance that I just cannot, that just won't fit in my space. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What makes you think you can cross this boundary?
Yeah.
The audacity.
Yeah.
What do
Sometimes
you look for?
someone who loves dogs.
Oh yeah.
No.
Even more of a green flag. If dogs like them.
Yes! Oh my God, this is a thing. If pets like the person you're dating, I'm sorry.
Green
they are
flag,
a good
all the
person.
way.
They are a safe energy to be around.
If an animal doesn't like a person, I'm immediately like,
I'm skeptical.
what have you done? Well,
Yeah.
especially dogs. Cats,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, cats can be weird.
Cats are hoes.
If a dog immediately doesn't like someone, I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. People who lift you up
Oh, yeah.
and not make you feel small.
Physically.
Yeah. Full bench press. Let's go. How much do you gym? I'm gonna tally this down.
Let me see. Let's test it.
People also, a big green flag for me is people who, because in my mind, a relationship is not necessarily you and the partner all the time. It is you as an individual. You're both individual people who make your lives more enhanced and more enriched. And I think a big green flag for me is a person who understands that and who respects that. At times need my space. People who respect that and who are like, yeah, all good, and who trust me enough to be like, yeah, you go away, do your own thing. I'll see you soon.
I love that. Yeah.
That I love. That's a big green flag. for me.
I love that. And I love a person who wants to see you succeed.
Yes, absolutely.
Like they're not trying to critique your every move.
And they're not threatened by your success as well.
Yes! That is a huge thing.
Funnily enough, it's actually hard to find.
Yeah,
At
shockingly.
times.
Yeah.
And I think especially when you're in the arts industry, it's a very confusing industry if you have never really been around it before. When you're dating, really, it's always been a real challenge, a real contender.
I can
in
agree.
my dating life.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, this is just my personal experience. Like with this industry, you do often have to sacrifice a lot. There isn't very much stability in this job.
It's very fast moving. Once you get
Yes.
your foot in the door, opportunities start coming your way. You do kind of have to take them.
You have to make them a priority, yeah. And people who don't understand that, that's fine. But people often, a lot of the time, people will be like, you don't make me a priority. You're I think you're a workaholic. You care more about your work than anything.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
like,
I experienced that
and
too.
I'm like,
Yeah.
look, that's your opinion. I'm sorry that you feel this way. I totally understand that you clearly need more than what I'm giving you. I'm sorry that I can't give you everything you need. We've clearly reached an impasse here. I don't think we should see each other anymore. Da 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 da. Like it's that has happened a couple times.
Same.
Finding someone honestly who can be patient and understanding.
I feel like the industry itself is like kind of sexualized in a way. You know, as dancers, it's like we often have to do some sort of dance where it's like a little bit sexual, and it's, you know, some people are really weird about it. I feel like it can go either way. Like if I'm dating somebody, they'll either express their discomfort or they will run with it. You know what I mean? Or like I've had so many guys be like, oh, so you're a dancer.
Yeah.
So, you know, and like take
Yeah.
it in that way. And I'm like, no. Like immediately that for me, that's a bit of a red flag. If they are like, oh,
So
like,
you're flexible.
oh my God, that's
Yeah.
always the one, isn't it? Like,
So you
oh,
can dance
so
for
you
me?
can do the splits. Every time. As soon as that happens, I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. I think we're going to cut the interview here, you know? Like,
Yeah, I think I've been quite lucky that I've rarely had people be like insecure about that.
oh, yeah.
A lot of the time, people who I've dated have been, they've been like the proud mum filming, like,
I
you're
love
doing
that.
great, sweetie.
Yeah.
So by that point, if I'm already dating them, we have a trust.
Yeah.
And when I'm dancing up on a stage, and if I might be in, you know, a skimpy costume, if they're insecure about that, I mean, like, that's... Like,
Yeah.
that's normally when I'm actually properly in a relationship with someone, they don't feel that because we've already established that
That
trust
kind of
and
trust.
that foundational, you know, just, yeah, we've already laid the groundwork so that by the time they see me on stage in a costume, maybe being a little, doing commercial dance or maybe sort of being a little bit sexual, they're not threatened by that because we have built that relationship foundation.
Yeah.
And I find that if anyone that I do end up still being in a relationship with that gets threatened, I'm like, yeah, well, that's not going to work there because I'm not dealing with that.
That's
I'm
a
not gonna deal
conversation
with
that
this.
it's like it's kind of shocking how many times we've had to have that with people, you know, like trying to justify like it's just a job at the end of the day. Like I'm a professional.
Yeah.
And it's the same as if like I were a tradie and I decided to take my shirt off on a hot day and like build something, you know, it's like just I'm wearing like a little less clothing, but I'm still doing my job.
Yeah, well,
You know,
I
like,
find it a bit insulting.
you don't
'cause
need
I'm
to-
Like, so you think so little of me that if someone, you know, if someone saw me, or because obviously people will, or if someone hit on me, or if someone was inappropriate with me while I was at work, you think I would respond to that positively?
Yeah, in a positive way.
Yeah,
like I'm here to do a job.
Yeah.
But also I find it so funny, like I'm speaking from somebody who's really just dated straight men, you know. It's kind of like I'm stereotyping here with straight men who have like made that assumption about me and my working industry. I'm kind of like, well, also you're saying this like you frown upon the sex work industry when I know that you also buy into it.
You support
So-
it. You support that industry.
So like why is it a judgment of me in a different industry that you just can't get past?
Yeah, it sort of upsets me in two ways. The first way, in that exactly how you described, through frowning and judging negatively on being sexual for a job.
Yeah.
That pisses me off because there is nothing wrong with being a sex
There's
worker.
nothing wrong
Especially
with
when
it.
you promote and endorse an industry. Like if you watch porn, if you know, have ever hired a sex worker before or like, you know,
Yeah.
been to a strip club, you are endorsing that industry that you are judging so harshly.
We've been to strip clubs together.
That was a great night. Oh
We
my
had
God.
so much fun.
But the other reason in that I'm very proud of my art. I'm
Yeah.
very proud of my performing.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of my dancing. Even when I am in a club on a podium, I take it very seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's my job.
You're getting
You know,
paid to
I'm
be
doing the
there.
job.
Yeah.
I'm being paid to entertain people. You don't understand or respect my art form. And
Yeah.
that is a red flag.
Absolutely. It's even the same like going to different dance classes and posting the footage and stuff. It's like you're doing like this for attention. And it's like, no, like it's a passion.
Yeah, it's an expression
it's-
of my artistry. It's an expression
And
of who I
yeah,
am.
and it's also like my training.
Yeah.
And also I feel like the performing arts industry, uses social media so much to like promote things or for people to get their faces out there and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, if I weren't posting, how would people know that I still do it? You know?
Yeah, for sure. Instead of becoming a troll or a bully and judging them and insulting them online, which is cowardly, by the way, just unfollow them. And
Yeah.
just, you know, be like, okay, I don't want to see that.
It's
but I
such a
don't
waste
have
of
to.
energy.
Yeah.
Such a waste of
And
energy.
and you're bringing that person down who probably, you know, had to really work themselves up and pump themselves up
to do what they are
to
doing.
post something like that. Yeah, to share. When you share a part of yourself, when you share dancing,
It's
you're sharing your
vulnerable.
vulnerability. Being sexual and showing your sexuality can be such a powerful, amazing thing.
I think it's powerful,
Yeah, I think people can be very quick to just immediately go hide behind a screen and insult and troll when all you have to do, babe, is just unfollow
Just
them if you don't
unfollow,
like it.
yeah. Or like everyone thinks they are allowed to critique as well.
Yes.
And it's just kind of like, look, you're allowed an opinion. Sometimes I don't need to hear it though.
It's definitely, social media has definitely given everyone a microphone.
Oh yeah.
And it's
Look
made
at
it
us
lot
on a
more-
podcast.
Oh yeah. And it's made it a lot more acceptable and accessible for people to be able to speak their minds, express their opinions, but it's also being used to weaponize.
5 years ago when we were in full time, dancing together every day, what is something you wish you spent more time doing?
Ooh.
Because I think
Okay.
you and I have both kind of discussed previously, we did shut out a lot of other things in our lives during that time because we were so focused.
For sure. I wish that I was placing more value into the other parts of my life. Obviously sacrificing a lot, dancing every day, training really hard, working really hard. I don't regret it because it's the hardest I've ever worked and I'm very proud of it. What I was doing so much was placing all of my worth, all of my value into my dance. That there are so many other aspects of my life that bring me so much joy, so much fulfillment, and that add so much value. And I had no idea while I was in full time. And so I do think I wish I placed more value into those other things. Whenever I was spending time with my family or going to see a movie with my friends, all I could think about was how guilty I felt that I wasn't training right then.
Yes, I felt that a lot too.
All I could think about was the shame that I wasn't training.
Yeah, I was always like constantly like, why am I enjoying this TV show when I could be watching such and such, which will help me improve, and like tomorrow I can come back in and be a better student, better dancer, like all of those things.
So I would
It's like
spend...
never doing something nice for yourself.
If you would ask me now, I could think of 20 things
Yeah.
in the last 2 days that I have done, you know, that have brought me joy and value and inspiration and all these things. But because I was just training so hard and so focused on everything that people were telling me to do in the dance world, and there was just no room for anything else.
Isn't this so funny, like sitting here recording this, knowing we did that YouTube video together, what, like 5 years ago? Our answers are just so different
They're
now.
so different.
Now that we're older and we're very understanding of everything now, like I feel like our lives are so different and how we look at things are so different. Well, I'm hoping you can come back to do another episode because, and then it's kind of also like, let's see if our answers change again kind of thing. Let's give it
like a
another
time-
5 years.
It's like a time capsule.
It is though. That's why I really like doing it because it's kind of like I can, even with like the first season, I look at some of the things I was talking about with like the first season was very mental health based and coming out of COVID and learning about myself and my relationship and all of those sorts of things. And I look back at that already and I'm kind of like, oh, like you're going to be okay, you know? And
so lovely.
And so now with season 2, it's nice to have those like kinds of conversations with a lot of people who I'm close with. And then there's some people who I'm like, oh, this is genuinely like us getting to know each other as well.
Yeah.
And just being like it's kind of like giving each other advice and like opening up conversations. And it's just nice to see like the evolution of that.
100%.
It is a time capsule. I'm so proud of how far we've come.
I'm proud of you.
Oh no, I'm proud of you.
I'm
But no, genuinely, like it's cool seeing how far we've come.
Yeah, it really is. And I feel really grateful that we are still in each other's lives. And I feel really grateful to be a part of this.
Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and subscribe. You know where to follow us on Instagram and on TikTok. And we just joined Threads. Follow us at hotmess_podcast on all of those things. And yeah, if you liked having Emily on, you can vote for her to come back for a second date via our Instagram page. So let us know. She might come back for another ep. Anyways, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
This has been fun.
I've actually had so much fun. I'm eating my cheese. I'm drinking my iced tea.
This is a
Loving
good time.
life.
Let's hope for round 2. All right.
Yeah, vote for
Thanks,
me.
guys. Bye.